Hello everybody, it's Siobhan again from At One Wellbeing. So you know that we're doing this series of videos for Niche as part of Cookstown and Western Shores Area Network. And really what we're focusing on in the entire series of videos is around things that you can do that are good for your mental health, that can protect your mental health and really give you motivation to look after yourself. And today we have chosen the topic of goal setting. And I know that many of us go through life and never think about setting goals. And sometimes that can mean that, you know, we're just meandering through our own lives and maybe not even participating fully in our own lives and maybe not achieving the things that we want to achieve. So what I want to talk to you about today is around how setting goals is actually good for you, how it can motivate you, how it can allow you to take back control, and how it can allow you to maintain really good mental health, especially when you focus on positive goals and that sense of achievement that you get when you achieve even the smallest part of a goal. So as usual, I'm going to share the screen, and we do know that this takes a wee tiny bit of time to get it set up. So here we go. Patience is a virtue. Right, just going to put it to full screen. So goal setting. So what is a goal? And I mean, listen, I don't have to tell you what a goal is. We all know what goals are, but put very simply, it is a target to aim for. And we all, I'm sure, have watched some form of football or sport where there is a goal mouth, and that is the target that all of the forwards aim for, is to put the ball into the goal. And it's a desirable or future result that people imagine, plan, and commit to achieving. So imagine what you want to do, plan for it, and commit to achieving it. So that is, in its simplest terms, what a goal is. So why do we set goals? You know, for, I suppose, the younger part of my life, I really never even thought about setting goals for myself. It's something that didn't even enter into my mindset, didn't enter into my head about setting goals. And I always thought, like, when I look back on my achievements and I say, well, I actually didn't set any goals for myself. This stuff just happened by accident. Well, do you know what? Generally, stuff does not happen by accident. You know, you get a job. It didn't happen by accident because you planned for it, you applied for it, you went to an interview for it, you were lucky enough to get the job, and then you move to the next job and you're like, oh, this is a better job, this is all happening by accident. In actual fact, it's not. We set goals because there's something in our life that we want to or actually need to change. Because you know what, if you are going through life, and I said meandering and, you know, leisurely, at a leisurely pace, and not thinking about the future, not thinking about, you know, setting goals for yourselves. You can set goals because you want to take back control of your own life. Because sometimes when we give control to other people, then that means that actually we're giving something of ourselves away. And why would you do that? So if you want to set a goal, think about it and taking back control of your own life. And setting goals is about achieving results. You want results. So I suppose the easiest ones that I can think of around goal setting is to lose a bit of weight, right? Or to get more exercise, for example. You want to see results. You want to jump on the scales and you want to, you know, look at the dial and say, oh, right, okay, I've half a pound off this week, which is fantastic. Or I feel fitter because I've been walking 4 miles a day. You know, there's something about that achievement of results. You want results, so set goals. And you also set goals because you need something to aim for. And as I said, you know, if you watch football and you look at the, you know, the whole excitement around the goal mouth, they have something to aim for. And when you set goals, you also have something to aim for. And goal-directed behavior is good for your mental health and well-being. So when you have a number of goals or one goal that you want to set yourself, actually that is good for your mental health and well-being because it allows you to focus and it allows you to get that sense of achievement, which is so important for us all. I mean, I sit here today and I think about, you know, my own life and the goals that I have. And, you know, some of those goals are aspirational, you know, and some of them feel like really real. Like my goal in life is just to be a good person. Yeah, you might say that's really aspirational, but day by day by day, I do something for other people that makes me good, or makes me good. Of course I'm good. Makes me feel good and makes me know that I'm achieving that goal of being a good person. Other goals, you know, might be to be more successful in business, and that is something to aim for. And as they say, you know, a goal without a plan is just a dream. So what I'm going to do is take you through a few slides today, just basically around how to set goals, the impact those goals can have, and that feel-good factor when you take the first step in achieving your life goals. Okay, so how do goals help? I did say earlier on, goals give us focus, because if you don't have a goal, and if you can't identify a goal in order to help you to make a change, there is no focus. So goals are what give you direction in life. Setting goals for yourself, you give yourself a target to aim for. And it's that sense of direction that allows your mind to focus on a target rather than waste energy with no real aim. And I know sometimes, you know what, I just have nothing to aim for. And then I find myself like maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a month down the line thinking, my goodness me, I did waste a lot of energy doing things that weren't really productive or proactive in my own life. And I want to be in my own life. I want to live in my own life, and I want to enjoy my own life. And setting goals is one thing that I find really helps me to do that. And setting goals help you because it allows you to hit your target and reach your goal, right? So if you have no goal, there is no target. There is no sense of achievement in reaching a goal. So does that make sense? Yep. Well, of course it does. Absolutely. They also give you motivation, right? So if I'll take the weight loss for an example. So if you don't set a goal around losing half a stone or 3 pounds or 4 pounds or whatever it is you want to lose, you know, what is your motivation to make any form of changes? And that's sometimes why, you know, the programs for weight loss really, really help, because it provides you with the motivation. And having that motivation gives you a sense of purpose. It also gives you a concrete end point. So if I want to lose half a stone or 3 pounds or whatever it is, I know in my own head that is the end point, right? So that gives me purpose. It gives me a concrete end point, and it gives me something to get excited about and passionate about. And it motivates us to do something as opposed to do nothing. Yep, I always say no change equals no change. And if you have no motivation to do something, then you will do nothing. And I mean, that stands to reason. And that's why when I talk about setting goals, I think of my own life goals and my own, like, even short-term goals, because sometimes short-term goals are so much easier to get into your mindset and say, well, do you know what, I can do that, rather than these long, expansive goals reaching out over 5, 10 years. That to me is a demotivator, simply because it's like, oh my God, it's massive. And it's so massive that I don't even know where to start. So goals help you in your motivation levels. And when you're thinking about yourself as we sit here today, or as I sit here and you sit there, you know, if you have no goals, what sense of motivation and what sense of purpose do you have? And just think through, is there something that you want to change? And if there is something that you want to change and you have no purpose or motivation, set yourself a goal. Because once you set that goal and you aspire to achieve that goal, well then, you know what, you're moving forward. Goals also help to overcome procrastination. Wowzer, procrastination is my best friend sometimes, right? Sometimes it's so much easier to sit and say, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it the next day or the next week. And I can sit and procrastinate for a fortnight. And you know what? When you set yourself a goal, then you become much more accountable to finish that task. So I do to-do lists, right? And that really is to help me to reach my goals, because everything that I put down to do is a small goal for that day or for that week. And it allows me then to even think through, when am I going to do it? When am I going to start? How will it feel when I have it finished? And then being accountable to that, and that pleasure that you get on ticking things off your to-do list. Another thing that people have told me that they do is a not to-do list, right? So not to get up in the morning and stay in your pajamas until 3 o'clock in the afternoon when you have to go out. So, you know, it's either the to-do list or the not to-do list, but it helps you to avoid procrastination. You know what, goals act as a reminder in the back of your head to help you overcome that procrastination. Because if you have a goal in mind and it's there and you know it's there, and sometimes, you know what, it's really helpful to write these things down, because that helps you then to reflect back and to focus on it. And it helps as a reminder for you to overcome that procrastination. Because I know as well as there's a head in my body that nobody, and I mean nobody, can achieve my goals for me. That's a very, very personal and a very, very individual thing. So actually having a goal is a reminder to me to avoid procrastination and to overcome that procrastination. And as I said, if we're setting ourselves these long-term goals, you know, this like, when I was young, when I left university, I was like, oh my goodness, my goal is I'm gonna drive a Jaguar XS by the time I'm 30. Yeah, my goodness me, what was I thinking at 21 years of age? That was such a long-term goal, and I was just like aspirational, and I hope and fingers crossed that that will happen. What I should have done was break down my goals into, and I mean, listen, driving a Jaguar XJS or XS was, you know, only a bit of fun for myself. But you know what, when you set big long-term goals, sometimes breaking it down chunk into chunk into chunk, shorter term goals are much, much more manageable. And you know what, if you set your goal for a day, for 2 days, for a week, for a fortnight, for a month, you know what, you can even imagine that happening. Whereas if you're saying in 5 years' time, I will be, that's really, really difficult to achieve. And sometimes if we're setting ourselves these long-term aspirational goals, we can set ourselves up to fail. So break it down chunk by chunk by chunk, small, achievable goals. And then you can complete your goal in that chunk methodology. And it brings a feel-good factor. And it also encourages you to do the next wee thing. And I am always this, you know, and I'm sure if you have listened to these videos, you'll be thinking, God, she never shuts up about a tiny step at a time, a tiny, tiny step at a time. Because you know what, sometimes when we're feeling a wee bit low and feeling demotivated and we are procrastinating, thinking about doing something big is overwhelming in itself. So break it down into chunks, a bit at a time. And that encourages you to do more, because that sense of achievement that you get from doing the first thing and then the second thing, do you know what, builds up a momentum. And that's what we want, is that momentum to help us overcome procrastination, to bring focus, to bring positivity, and to allow us to have a sense of purpose. Going good, okay? Yeah, great. Let's move on. So, you know what, goals also provide a great deal of clarity. Because you know what, when we're going through life, and I'm sure whoever's watching this, we're all different genders, we're all different ages, we're all different, you know, we're all such different people. And how we live our lives, and if we do set ourselves goals, you will find that those goals will provide clarity. And you know, you can become very, very clear and have a very clear vision on what you want to do and also what you need to do. You become unclear what you need to stop doing. And that's what I was saying earlier on about the to-do list and the stop doing list, or the not to-do list. You know what? Sometimes we're just rushing through life, and life is so incredibly busy. I know life is so incredibly busy. My life is busy. So what is it that I need to stop doing to allow me to achieve my goals? And also, when you're looking at setting goals, it can really help you to identify some of those self-limiting beliefs. I set myself a goal, and this is only an example, and this is not actually true. But if I were to set myself a goal to, you know, have 5 employees this time next year, and then these self-beliefs that I have, oh my goodness, you couldn't do that. Sure, why, you couldn't even run a business. You know, what would you want to employ staff for? And this thing can go on. So it can help you to identify the things that you believe about yourself, excuse me, that are actually holding you back. And if you have self-limiting beliefs, sometimes that can become a real stop for you in actually even setting goals. So as you go through the process of thinking about what goals you would like to achieve, or what one goal you would like to achieve in the short term, medium term, or long term, that will help you identify the things that you're thinking about yourself, that we talked about beliefs before. These things that were formed in conversations, relationships when we were younger, and the things that we then began to believe about ourselves, and these things have become facts in our own life. So setting goals can help you identify them. And you know what, once you identify them and recognize where they came from, that gives you an absolute power over them. And you can say, well, do you know what evidence do I have to support that belief right here, right now, as I sit today? And it can help you to achieve, by setting goals, can help you achieve moving from that like wishful thinking to real change. Oh my goodness me, I wish I had, oh, I wish I had a new car. I wish I had a, you know, more income. I wish I was fitter, and I wish I, so that wishful thinking serves no purpose, because wishful thinking can actually make you feel bad. It can make you feel worse, because if you're living your life with this like, oh, I wish I could, or I wish I had, or I wish I had have done, actually that doesn't change anything. That doesn't change anything other than how you feel about yourself, and that internal dialogue that you have with yourself about, oh, you know, I wish I had and I didn't get, and the sense of disappointment that comes along with that. And as I said before, that clarity around setting goals and that sense of purpose that you get through setting goals. And as I said earlier, you know, goal setting and goal-directed behavior actually is good for your mental health and well-being. And it's also part of the 5 steps to well-being around setting goals. And that setting of goals around, you know, taking more notice, or, you know, becoming more active, or connecting more, you know, or keep learning. Setting yourself goals around these things actually is much more positive and much more proactive, because I find if I don't set myself some form of goals, then I literally achieve very, very little. Whereas if I have goals set for myself, even on a daily basis, I get to the end of the day and I get that great sense of achievement, having achieved those goals. So, sound all right so far? So goals allow you to measure progress, right? Setting yourself a goal and then actually even writing down how you're progressing, or you sometimes just feel it. If it's to lose weight, you feel it in your clothes. If it's to become more active, you know that you're feeling fitter. You feel these things, but it allows you to measure your progress. It allows you also to develop a benchmark on which to, excuse me, allows you a benchmark to allow you measure progress against where you started, right? Where you started. And that really good feeling that you get when you have moved the tiniest wee bit. And measuring progress and achieving change, even the smallest of change, motivates you further. Don't you just love this idea of goal setting now? When you see how many ways that setting goals can help you, measuring progress, becoming more focused, providing you with clarity, overcoming procrastination. What is not to like about setting yourself goals? No goal is no progress, same thing over and over and over again. So if you're feeling disempowered in your own life, or if you feel that you don't even have control over your own life, that life is just happening to you, you know, it's just a thing that you're a bystander and you're watching your own life pass by, goal setting can really help you refine that down into becoming much more active in your own life. And I always say life is for living. My life is for living it in my way. And, you know, when I think about my own life, of course there are challenges. Absolutely there are challenges. My life is not this like nice, flowing, gentle progression towards the goal of no. My life has ups and downs, undulations, feelings of fear and anxiety and not being in control. And you know what? When I think about the goals I set myself, that allows me to feel much better and to feel that I'm in charge, that I am the master of my own destiny, and that it's not somebody else or something else controlling my life, because I want to be able to look back on my life, even when I hit the ripe old age of 50, and say, well, do you know what, Siobhan? You got here. You have done well. Congratulations. Well done. You are living a good life. You are living a life that you feel proud of, that you have a sense of achievement around. And you know what? That is the best feeling, to have that sense of pride. And that sense of pride, and we talked about this before as well, builds your self-confidence, and the sense of achievement builds confidence. It can improve your self-esteem. So, you know, goal setting, you might think, you know what, that old nonsense about setting goals. When you think about how positive it is to set yourself goals and all of this stuff that it can bring about, and all of the control it gives you, and all that sense of that feeling good about yourself, do you know what? If you're sitting here today watching this and you're not goal driven, or you have no goals, I would encourage you just to even think through what goal you would like to set yourself, even for the next day, even for the next week. And then as you progress and you get used to thinking about your life in terms of achieving small things, or small goals or big goals, wow, you know what? You participate fully in your own life. It's an area I do feel very, very passionate about, you know, and I did say earlier in this presentation that for the younger part of my life, and I think it's quite normal, you know, I never thought of my life in terms of like setting goals, and that is quite normal. But see, now when I have reached this age, and I'm not telling you what age I am, when I have reached this age, I think to myself, well, do you know what? Setting goals for myself and actions against those goals is really, really helpful to me, you know, in moving forward and making progression and living a life that I am actually quite proud of. So when you think about goal setting, and I'm sure some of you will have heard of the SMART technique. So when you're setting a goal, I would advise you to use this technique here, this thing right? For the loss of another word, this thing. I should set myself a goal to read the dictionary. No, I will not. So setting yourself goals in life, if you can be as specific as possible around setting yourself goals, that is very, very helpful, because that broad brush approach to I want to be happy and fit and looking well and feeling good by the age of 50, that, my friends, is not a specific goal, right? So be laser specific. When you're setting yourself a goal, specific, I want to be a stone lighter this time next year. That's really specific. And the beauty of it is it's also measurable. So when you're thinking about goals, and if you're being aspirational, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. There's nothing wrong with being aspirational, but always be specific when it comes down to it. Always know that you can measure it. Always know that it's achievable, because if you're setting yourself a goal which is so vast, it may not be achievable. And you know what? If it's not achievable and you don't achieve it, how's that going to make you feel? Wouldn't it be better to think through, right, okay, I can achieve this by this date? Be realistic with yourself as well. You know what? If I was to set myself a goal of losing a stone by Christmas, that is not achievable, because I don't need to lose a stone. I probably couldn't lose a stone, and it's not realistic for me, because you know what? I like my food. And you know, setting myself a goal like that is not the type of goal that I should be setting myself. But see, the time bound aspect of it as well, that is absolutely essential, because if you don't set a time frame for achieving your goals, then it can drift and drift and drift and drift, and our old friend procrastination can set in, and we can lose focus, we can lose the clarity around what we want to do, we can lose sense of purpose. So specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. And I would invite you to write it down. Just draw yourself out a wee table and sit and think about what it is that you want to achieve. And if it is, you know, if it's a bit fuzzy in your head, then think through, what would make this specific for me? Can I measure it? Can I achieve it? Is it realistic? And when do I want to achieve it by? If it's a day, if it's a week, if it's a month, if it's 2 months, if it's a year, it really doesn't matter. But don't forget, we did say about breaking it down into chunks. But this is just a really good framework for you to really drill down and refine, refine, refine what goal you want to set yourself. So some questions that you might want to ask yourself in this process as well. And I mean, I'm always one, I am a life coach. That's what I do. I ask people questions. So when you're thinking about your goal and you've used the SMART technique in the previous slide, then here's some questions that you can actually ask yourself. What is your very first step? And asking yourself these questions is part of that refinement process. What is your very first step if you're setting yourself a goal? Sometimes it's really difficult to achieve these things on your own, because it's hard to hold ourselves accountable. I find it really difficult to hold myself accountable. Also, sometimes I find it very difficult to take the first step on my own. So who can I get to help me to achieve this? And you might know I have talked about my friend Helen before. Me and Helen go out walking almost every day. We're not going out today because it's howling a gale and it's lashing out of the heavens, but there's something about having a buddy or somebody that can do it with you, or somebody that you can talk to about it, or somebody that can provide you with encouragement. Who can help you to achieve this? Because see, if I didn't have Helen to go out walking with, I probably wouldn't walk at all. But I know that Helen's there. I know that she'll send me a message saying 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, whatever. And I'm like, bang, of course. And I do exactly the same for her. So there's something really powerful about having somebody there with you that can help you to achieve your goals, and that accountability as well. Helen is my accountability partner. An accountability partner can be anybody. A friend that you trust, a partner that you have. You know, anybody can hold you accountable, and having that honest discourse. And I don't mean holding you accountable saying you must do and you didn't do. It's actually that supportive encouragement that sometimes we need when we're trying to make a change, we're trying to formulate a goal around that change, we're trying to plan for that change. Who will help you? Who will hold you accountable? Holding yourself accountable, some people can. Some people are really, really good at it. I wouldn't be the best at it, I have to say. And that's why I have chosen well, not chosen, me and Helen go out canoeing together, and then we started walking together. So brilliant accountable relationship that we have, and it's always supportive and understanding. And then also think, how will you know that you have achieved your goal? And that's where the whole, you know, measurement and time-bound aspect of the SMART technique in the last slide comes into it. You will know because you will have set yourself a measurable target, and it will be time-bound. And you know what, then think, if I have achieved this goal, how will I feel? How will I feel when I have achieved it? How will I feel when I can walk 4 miles without being out of breath? How will I feel when I can fit into my white jeans that I wore 3 summers ago? How will I feel when I am doing A, B, C, and D, whatever your goal is? And you know what, even imagining and visioning yourself into that space can be a great, great motivator. So does this, I'm asking, does this make sense? Well, it makes sense to me, you see. And everything that I do and everything I have done for Anita is things that I have personal experience of, things I was trained to do, things that I have experience in doing, but things that make a difference, things that matter to our day-to-day lives, to our sense of well-being, to that sense of joy that we have living our own lives. And it also can help us to overcome difficulties, to identify barriers. What are these barriers to me making a change? What are these barriers to my happiness and fulfillment of my own life? So if you look at, I mean, these are all on YouTube, on Cookstown and Western Shore Area Networks YouTube channel, and there are so many topics that I have covered on behalf of Nishi, which I believe can actually make a difference. And there's something about, you know, I take personal responsibility for my own life. I take personal responsibility for setting myself goals. Sometimes I need help, and when I need help, I ask for help. And there's something about that help-seeking behavior as well that needs to be encouraged, because if you're struggling and if you need help, reach out and see who can help you. And if you're setting yourself goals and you're thinking, boy, this is a challenge, who can help you achieve it? Who will help you in terms of your own accountability? How will you know you've achieved this goal? How will you feel when you have achieved this goal? There's something just so positive about that. So I hope that that was like a gentle trot through the importance of setting goals, how setting goals is so helpful to you in taking back control of your own life and in achieving the things that you want to achieve in your own life. A wee bit around how to set yourself goals, and then some questions that you can ask yourself around, what is it that I want to achieve? What is it that I want to do? Where do I want to be in a week's time, a month's time, whatever time frame? How do I go about it? How do I make sure that my goals are specific? How do I make sure that my goals are measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound? Who do I need to help me in this process? How will I feel when I have achieved my goal? How am I going to break it down? What is my first step? What action am I going to take? So goal setting, you know, it's something that is so positive and so proactive. And I would invite you today, if you have watched this video, to actually start to think about setting yourself some goals for your life, some goals to enable you to take control of your life, some goals to allow you that sense of achievement. And you know what? That sense of achievement and what you're going to do when you have achieved it. How are you going to feel? Are you going to give yourself a treat? Are you going to pat yourself in the back and say, well done, you are spectacular. Well done, you are amazing. So as I say, it's a very, very short trip through goal setting. And as I also say, you know what, if you are in a hiatus in your own life, if you are stuck to the spot, setting yourself goals, thinking about the actions and steps that you're going to take in achieving those goals can actually really help you become unstuck. So that's me for today. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you again soon. Right? Bye.